Good evening. A warm welcome to this special episode on Media for a Safer Sri Lanka. Today's episode is centered around a theme that resonates deeply with all of us, that is, on how media can strengthen disaster preparedness and risk communication. As we all know, Sri Lanka, like many countries in our region, faces frequent natural hazards. In such situations, timely, accurate, and responsible communication can make the difference between safety and vulnerability. The media, therefore, holds an immense responsibility not only in delivering early warnings and life-saving messages, but also in building a culture of preparedness, resilience, and trust. So to deliberate on these vital issues, we have an excellent panel representing national media perspectives, and let me introduce the distinguished panelists who are here today. Firstly, Mr. Pradeep Kodipili, I'm sure a familiar face to most of you all. Mr. Pradeep Kodipili, who currently serves as the Director Awareness of the Disaster Management Center and also acts as the official media spokesperson for DMC, has more than 20 years professional experience in agriculture, disaster management, early warning, emergency response, and overall media communications. In terms of the interface between the public and DMC, Mr. Kodipili plays a very important role. So welcome, Mr. Kodipili, for today's discussion. Next, I would like to introduce our next panelist is Ms. Kalani Kumarasinghe, who's a senior journalist and also currently serves as the editor of Newswire, one of Sri Lanka's most trusted digital news platforms. And over a decade of experience she has with regard to national and regional media, and also she has been playing a key role in reporting major crises, including natural disasters, political upheavals, and economic challenges. And she has also represented Sri Lanka at international journalism forums such as the Asia Journalism Fellowship in Singapore. Welcome, Kalani, for today's discussion. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Prasad Dodangodage, who is the Deputy Director, News at Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. So Mr. Dodangodage has over 30 years of experience in television journalism. He has played a key role in shaping the news and current affairs on behalf of the state media. He is also known for delivering lectures on international relations and serving as a resource person in broadcasting circles. So to start today's panel discussion, firstly, I would like to pose this question to Mr. Pradeep Kodipili. Could you please explain, how does the Disaster Management Center currently work with different media outlets, especially in terms of ensuring timely dissemination of early warnings, and what improvements do you consider that you need to kind of basically educate the public in terms of absorbing the actual and correct information that is being disseminated?
Right. First of all, I'd like to thank to the Rupavahini Corporation inviting us being with the interested communities. And I think the media, when we talk about the media, Dushi, because I had to go little early stages of my career in the Disaster Management Center, because when I'm taking the opportunity as a media spokesperson, so it was a huge task to me. And our DG told, okay, can you do it? I told, no, yeah, I will try, but you have to help me. But I did not get any help, but all the media helped me to get the Disaster Management Center and the communication in place with the media and with the community at the right place and right time. So with that, we have a series of the communication, the talks, and also we established the communication in between the media and the Disaster Management Center. So that is a very important process. Actually, when we talk about the media communication, we have two options. we need to communicate with the media at the right time with critical and real and accurate information. And media has a very important role, so they can disseminate to the vulnerable communities. So that even the media has to get the data to be evaluated and validated and trusted data from the disaster management center. Why I'm talking about disaster management center? So DMC has enacted with the Act number 13 of 2005, so giving kind of a power of having all the disaster management activities to the in Sri Lanka. So that is that. So the disaster data and the early warning is one of a critical information, because if it is not going at the right time to the communities, it might be a huge disaster situation. We have early warning systems, but because I have a little experience of sometimes the GSM communication will not work at the remote areas.
Okay.
Because when I was going at the Kalutara area, because we did a research in Kalutara and Paragoda and some other areas, so they told us, okay, we don't have any GSM communication. Then I asked why. So we don't have any towers here. Then how you communicate with your Grama Sevaka, whoever, then the government official at a disaster situation. But we have a radio, but we have a television. We get some information. Even they tell, okay, your voice is always hearing through our radio and the TV, and so they get a lot of information. Why? They are trusting the information through the media. You said 3 words: resilience and the preparedness and the trust. So that is an important part, is the trust. So let's make it a little simple. Even if there is a disaster situation as tsunami, we have actually 50 minutes for the evacuation. So if people are not trusting the information, that might be a huge problem. Sometimes some people at the community level, they can warn the people with the megaphone or whatever. But rather than that one, the people are trusting the media broadcasting. So that is that, and the media in the disaster management center, we set a good culture of the media communication. And we have different ways of connecting with the media, and also we have different early warning mechanism apart from the media, and Triforces police, they are working together. And the other important thing is, for a early warning or emergency communication, we have to think about the 4 segments. The first one is the risk analysis and awareing the risk about the communities, and also the vulnerability assessments and all. Though that is a very important part what we have conducted that one. If you go to the second portion, then the forecasting and monitoring. That means the technical matters like the Med Department, irrigation, NBR, or that they are doing that part. So the communication in between these parties also kind of a very important thing. Even the media already connected with those parties as well. But when you come to the third portion, it's very important, dissemination. Because if those 2 top portions were available with us, if not, the third portion is connected with the real community level, so that might be a huge disaster situation. Why? We need to send the messages until the last person. So that's why the media is important, because they have a lot of capacities. So I'll come later part of that communication part, what the capacity of the media having to disseminate these warnings to the vulnerable communities. When you come to the fourth part, because we have 4 elements that I'm talking about now, the fourth part, the response capability. So once the communities are not having kind of a knowledge to receive the messages or read these messages or get the actions in right time, that if they don't have such kind of capability, that might be a huge disaster situation. That's the media is doing another important thing, awareness for those communities. So we have a lot of awareness sessions and a lot of information sharing to the ground level communities. So that is a part of very important thing. Then we can go up to the disaster risk reduction word, because even in other countries, they have good relationship with media. Because I had a chance to go to ABO, Asian Broadcasting Union, in 2011.
Okay.
So same day, March 11, the earthquake happened in Japan, Sendai area. We had a meeting with NHK and myself and around 30 to 40 media stations around the country, and in Sri Lanka, ITN and all those channels, Rupavahini, they attended. From the disaster management center I represented, they stopped the presentation. I asked why. We had an earthquake, just one person died. So NHK has to disseminate the messages. NHK in Japan has sole authority to disseminate the message to the vulnerable communities. Because I went to the NHK, so we had a very good discussion. That's why the ABU, that means that kind of a international collaboration is very much needed for a country to have technical enhancements and also other enhancements as well. This is important. That's why in locally, disaster management said we connected with the media, even internationally we connected with even the CNN, other channels were connected with the disaster management center. But we always keen on the ground level people, because we are the one who definitely save all the lives around the country, because everybody has a chance to save the lives of the country. So media has one of a very important role, because as a disaster management official and the media spokesperson, I really know how the community is trusting these messages. I really know how the media is acting for our messages as well. This is important. That's why when we talk about the disaster preparedness, when we talk about the resilience, when we talk about all the disaster management activities in our DM cycle, so media can do a lot. When I'm going to the field, because we train all these media officials at the ground level in 25 districts for 2 times, 2017 and also 2022.
Okay.
Right? So that was very important, because at the provincial media officials are very interested to have such kind of a interactive session. So that is that. Why we are doing this training for the media people? Awareness. Because they should understand disaster information is very critical thing. Because sometimes there is a competition in between the media. It's a marketing process. But when it comes to the disaster data and the warnings, they need to think in different ways. That's why we have given that awareness to them on all these media professionals. So that is that actually I would say the media could be one of a very important early warning partner for the disaster management. And media is one of a awareness partner for the disaster management. So they are working in different tri languages, because they can disseminate messages in any languages. That's why they both, I think that means really those early warning and the communication and also the awareness could be directly related with the disaster risk reduction. I think it's a very important topic today. So this is important part with the media and the disaster management.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kodiplay. In fact, you gave a very broad perspective of highlighting the importance about the communication of the early warning messages to the ground level communities, and also how important it is to build a trust.
Yes.
And also to disseminate the correct information, because obviously we all know at the end of the day we have to ensure that the lives are safeguarded, and it is actually the communication that plays a very important role nowadays. So let's move on to Ms. Kumar Singh to get a perspective about the journalism aspect in terms of media. Actually, the role of media is both complex and critical during disasters and emergency situations. And as a journalist, what are the challenges that you are currently faced with, especially when reporting disasters and also verifying the accuracy of information, especially when you're under time pressure?
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really glad to see that this kind of summit is happening, having been in this industry for a considerable amount of time and having covered natural disasters and other kinds of disasters. I'm glad to see that in this country there's this kind of conversation happening, and I'm happy to be able to contribute to it. And I think you nailed it right on the head. You said it's critical and also complex. That is exactly the nature of our job when it comes to disaster communication. So when a disaster strikes, journalists are expected to sort of be first responders, but not with the gear or the equipment, but with our information. But the problem is often we find ourselves that we also are ill-equipped, we are not informed, and we are also struggling just as much as the next person to find information, accurate information. So that is where preparedness matters, especially in the newsroom, at the journalist level, and in other efforts to have good relationships with the agencies that are concerned. So it really boils down to that. I just remember when we were having this discussion before we just came in here, that when I first stepped into journalism, I was first assigned the disaster beat. It wasn't really a fancy beat. I was a rookie journalist, and honestly, if I'm being very honest, it was frustrating, because it's not something like, disasters don't happen every day.
Yes.
Whereas I see my peers go into courtrooms or rush into this or that place, whereas my job was to, I don't know, it felt like at that time I just had to sit down and wait for something bad to happen. It wasn't a pleasant feeling. Right. So, but I also understood as time went by and my seniors guided me, that it was a much bigger responsibility than that, because somebody who's assigned that kind of beat also has to be of a sort of a level-headed mental space also, while you are also gathering all kinds of information to that might be useful to you at some point, or it may not. So you have to learn to live with this frustration also. So this is the kind of approach that I had when I came into covering disasters when I was very young. But then I learned that I had to also engage with people like Mr. Pradeep. I came into the industry, and one of the first people that I've spoken to and engaged with was a really good communicator like this. So it's so important for not just the journalists to have that kind of engagement, but also on the government side and other agencies, they should also have good communicators. So in my experiences, I have been very fortunate to have had that kind of good relationship. But the thing is, at the present time, we are faced with multiple challenges. Earlier a disaster was sort of, the media's role in a disaster situation was very much reactive. A disaster happens and we report what happened. We don't necessarily go into the space and try to figure out what happened. It's always an account of, this much of damage has been done, X number of people had died, something like that. But now our role has evolved, a journalist's role has evolved, and at the end of the day, when you take into consideration all the developments that have taken place, everyone has a social media platform.
Exactly.
Everyone is a communicator. Everyone can be a reporter. So the distinction is whether journalists can be of difference, because the public will trust the journalist. When a disaster strikes, in my personal experience, in those early hours, misinformation tends to carry more weight than the accurate news report. Because of the nature of a disaster situation, we also struggle, because we are all trying to figure this out, right? We also struggle to figure out what has happened, and getting accurate information, even from the agencies that we really have good relationships with, can get delayed. So waiting for the official statement is never an option if you're actually in a newsroom. And so these are the kind of multiple challenges we are faced with. And as media in Sri Lanka, I don't think personally we are there at the level that we should be when it comes to either the reactive reporting side or the disaster preparedness side of it. But I'm glad it's happening, and I'm glad to be contributing to it, and I think it's a space that we should have more and more conversations in.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Kumara Singh. Actually, you highlighted the challenges that you all are facing currently, and I'm sure there are two government entities seated side by side, and I'm sure these things can be taken into account in moving forward, and also improving the communication mechanism when it comes to reporting accurate data, and also being timely. As you said, it should not be kind of reactive, but as long as there's some information that could be disseminated beforehand, it would really help the general public in terms of taking the necessary safety precautions. So let's move on to get a perspective about the state media. institutions and the importance in terms of disaster management. So let me pose this question to Mr. Prasad. During a crisis, misinformations can spread rapidly. How does the state media, if you take the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, coordinate with government technical agencies such as the Disaster Management Center or the Med Department or the National Building Research Organization? I'm just taking a few examples to counter rumors and also ensure the consistency of the early warning messages.
Thank you, Dushi. Thank you for the question. Yes, now state media, especially the state television, Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, disseminating a message on disaster communication is not our duty. It's one of our prime responsibilities. Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation is a government agency covered by a parliamentary act number 6 of 1982, Rupavahini Act. Under that act, we are responsible for the people. We have the prime responsibility of disseminating those messages, warnings, and we have to create awareness among the people. So it's one of our prime duties. So we are also a part of that system. Now, Pradeep mentioned about NHK. Our role is also same.
Okay.
Now, for example, he mentioned about the activities of NHK. When something happened in Japan, like earthquake or tsunami threat, their viewership charts spike like this, right? Because everybody turned towards NHK to get the message. And in Sri Lanka also, people has a wide trust on national television because they know that we are the ones who first to educate them correctly, not with the rumors, not going with the rumors, because we always comes with official statement. In that case, we are also facing certain challenges that Karali mentioned, because at a during a disaster situation, almost all these agencies, they are busy. They are busy with response. They are busy with early relief matters. And these officials sometimes they have vested with other tasks also.
Okay.
So we also highlight these situations because sometimes it's little bit difficult to get through to them, and sometimes they also need time to make official statement, but we don't have enough time. If the time matters. Every second might be a count of it's about a matter of life. So as the national television, one of our strategies, if something happened, we communicate with them immediately and we move our setups there.
Okay.
We move into the system, and we used to report from that entity. That's one option.
Okay.
Then at the same time, we have dedicated journalists like Kalani mentioned. We also have certain journalists trained on these matters. Then they will, they act immediately. They don't wait for sometimes orders, and they make both with the communication with our heads, and at the same time communicating with the relevant authorities. So as the national television, every time we are in a very we can say it's utmost task of us. Then another thing, you mentioned about the disinformation. That's one major challenge, because but the good part, when people get that type of message, they cross check with us. Sometimes they even used to phone to the newsroom, and they ask, there's such kind of information, is that correct? So that's a good trend, because people feel that the state media has a responsibility to give the correct information to them.
Correct.
So they also try to get information. They also try to tend towards state media during such a magnitude of disaster to get correct information. At the same time, there's another responsibility with state media, the communicating with other agencies, especially the supporting the relief activities.
Okay.
We have to, communicate with regional authorities, then Department of Irrigation and other the agencies related to these issues. Then the people who implement this relief activities. All these things we have to cover. We have to disseminate this information, because we have to sometimes we have to locate some places where the people need support. For that thing, security forces, because they are the ones on the ground along with the DMC officials. So security forces, the officials, they also inform us, look, there's a kind of necessity in this area, and please spread this information.
Okay.
Then we do that. So likewise, we have to muster that national relief program as well. And another thing is a very special feature. Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation is a part of the regional news network of Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union.
Okay.
So we are interconnected with 34 television stations that cover the whole Asia Pacific region. The region which from the west end, from Turkey up to eastern in South Korea, and the southern in Australia and New Zealand. So huge area. So almost all state media entities are members of that news exchange. So that exchange we can use during a big disaster to get international support. We used it very correctly during in several occasions, especially during 2004 tsunami.
All right.
So before Indonesia, the world got the information about Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So because we got request from NHK Japan, they got 1 hour of television material from Rupavahini Corporation immediately after the disaster,
Okay.
to put in their various bulletins and put in their various platforms.
All right.
Then at that time, lot of aid and the international community got timely got informed, and they were able to muster their plans, relief plans, aid plans, according to the information we provided. So, especially the Japanese entity, because they are very concerned about these disasters, they especially thanked us for providing that information.
Okay.
So those type of activities are there while countering the misinformation, as you mentioned.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Dodangodege. Based on the discussions we've held so far, I think it clearly shows how important the role of media is, and especially now I see it's quite complex during disasters. And also Mr. Dodangodege highlighted a very critical aspect in disaster management, especially the relief aspect. So it's nice to know the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation as the state media institution playing a pivotal role in that aspect as well. So let's move on to another round of questions. So let me pose this question to Mr. Kodiplili. So in terms of the role of the media, what steps could be taken to kind of better integrate community level voices or the local languages into national level disaster communication strategies going forward?
So I think normally like Prasad mentioned, that media has to go with little bit technically enhanced the way which is called the common alerting protocol, because we always try to have a common alerting protocol like NHK is doing right now.
Okay.
And when we talk about the community, there's a different story. When we talk about the officials, there's a different story, different connectivity. So when we talk about the media, so from the Disaster Management Center, we have a project which is called the CRESS MPA. Under the CRESS MPA, we are trying to have a decision support system. So within few months' time, we are going to activate our decision support system.
Okay.
With that, we are elaborating and cooperating all this media with the common alerting protocol. This kind of software which the disaster management center can disseminate the messages through some kind of a state media like the NHK. So we can disseminate that means one push and alerting everything.
Okay.
Even the flash boards on the highways, and also the TV screens could be stopped at any time.
Okay.
So that is a one part of a important technical enhancement that we are expecting from the media.
Okay.
So and also the awareness through the media to the media is one of a very important thing.
Okay.
So because with your question, so connected with the community and the media and the disaster management center. So I'm just talking about the middle part of this chain. So when we talk about the news, the communication in between the disaster management center, I think their awareness is should be very important. The local level media officials at the ground level, they should be have to understand. So what is a disaster? What is the level of disaster? How we are reporting the disaster? At what stage we are reporting the disaster? You know, because there are some examples, you know, because they asking always the voice cuts, you know. So one of the media since I think around 3 or 4 years back, so they're asking a voice cut. There are few tiles on the walls being damaged in some area. I asked him, so when your news is going to be telecasted by 7 or 8 or whatever the time, so I think those people said those few tiles and they became normalized, so that could not be a disaster. If the disaster is, that's why we are awareing all the media ground level people to understand about the disasters. So what level and what up to what level that they are going to disseminate these messages.
Okay.
So we need to reduce the panicness of the communities at a disaster situation.
Exactly.
Everyone of the country will get clue or sometimes a panic, even myself, because I have been hit with the tsunami in 2004. By that time, I know that the state media did a well role. So I saw a lot of people died in front of my eyes and a lot of damages, and also I've been affected in 2004. So by that time there was no disaster management center, there was no any organization to coordinate that one. But through the media, even myself got a lot of information like Prasad clearly mentioned. We always switched on the media, even the telephones were not working by that time. So as a community, because I was because out of our gate, I also become the community. I'm a community member.
Exactly.
Right? So we didn't have any chance to get from anything because all the roads were blocked. Nothing were because no any communication. Even by that time there were not much mobile phones in Sri Lanka. So even the landlines were totally blocked, and a lot of the towers been totally disrupted and damaged. So what, as a community member, I expected some kind of information. Then I was looking into the TV channels. So by that time, I think Rupavahini Corporation did a well job. I did a lot of information shared among the communities. Even the word of a tsunami got to know through the media. I never knew about the word of the tsunami. Right? Even other communities as well. So that is that from the media side. So when it comes to the community side, community trust has to be well built to the media messages, right? So in between the community and the media, there should be a very good relationship. That means when people, because I always when we are doing ground level community awareness programs, I always telling, so you then they need to, because we are urging them to take a small radio, right, for the evacuations. One of the community member asked me, we do not have, sometimes we cannot get the radio, maybe need the battery. your phone, even a very normal phone, has a radio. Why are you not using this? This is one of your mobile phone is one of a warning focal point.
Exactly.
You can get the warnings SMS through the media, or because media get our SMS, and they have maybe 2 million customers been connected, and also they have another warning and voice cards and all. So your mobile phone can be converted as a radio, small radio,
Yes.
even a tiny little very simple phone. That's why that community awareness has to be well built throughout the community sessions in the disaster, because we have a 25 district disaster management units. They have that capacities as well. So people forget everything. The knowledge of the disaster, even the tsunami, sometimes they are not responding at times, some communities, but that awareness is very important. So when we want to connect with the media and the community, those very, very important thing has to be well clarified. So when we come to the disaster management center level and other technical agencies, so we always trying to have a 24/7 connectivity in between the media and the disaster management center. Why we are working 24/7?
Okay.
Right? So the most of the media, so they don't have 24/7 broadcast system, but it can be activated at any time. Because I know that every kind of electronic media, there will be their studios and all will be activated at our one call. Then what it's to need to be kept in continuously, DMC should maintain a proper communication in between the newsrooms and the emergency operations center to activate their channels at a disaster time. For a floods, sometimes you have time.
Yes.
Cyclone, you have time. Drought, no
yes.
problem. But the tsunami,
Exactly.
you have only 50 minutes for the evacuation.
Exactly.
Even though you have a 1.5 hour, but we need to get 40 minutes off for the warnings and international and also local warning disseminations. That's why the common alerting protocol, we are encouraging the common alerting protocol, CAP, we call CAP. CAP is very important. So we had several workshops, and I think in the future we will be expecting to have our decision support system through the Crescent PA project. And I think connectivity in between the media would be very important. So I think it's the same way that the NHK is doing. Why? So they have in media technology is a little bit, in every household they have an emergency warning broadcast system. That means EWBS, we call EWBS. There's a special unit, even though they are all the TVs switched off, but it will be automatically activated and display their warnings. That's why Japanese people, they have a good warning system, but we are trying to reach up to that level. Then the DMC should be able to have a good kind of a relationship in between the media. So even through the WhatsApp, maybe the telephone, maybe the VHF communication, maybe the HF communication, whatever, even the SMS. So all has to be, because there should be an alternative communication. So sometimes some communities say we have mobile phone. If it is not working, what we'll do? We have a land phone. Okay, if the tower is collapsed, what we'll do? So then the radios are one of a very important thing. Radio channels, maybe the TV channels, whatever the media is very important thing. That's why we are urging even the social media. Everybody is engaging with the social media. So Facebook, I think most not maybe 99% they have Facebook account. So other accounts as well. They are sharing the information. But when we talk about the social media, everybody can fabricate everything. So that's why that the regulation has to be done by the disaster management center as well. So if those three pillars are combined together with kind of improvements, I think warnings and other awareness could be given exactly with the particular DRR measures. And also, I have to highlight a little bit one important thing. Even the media can do awareness.
Exactly.
Even sometimes, the children are watching the TVs by maybe 78 time, maybe sometimes before the dinner. So they can have maybe 5 minutes awareness with the kind of a persons engage with the disaster management center, the technical agency, NBR, or whoever. So I would suggest that one as well, because we need to have a kind of awareness. Everybody can get some kind of information. That is the important thing. So that's, I think I answered your question. So linking through 3 levels: community, and also the media, and also DMC.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Kodipli. Actually, your wealth of experience and knowledge really came out during this short conversation with us. In terms of the strategies, you mentioned that there is going to be common alert protocol to be implemented, and also the decision supporting system by DMC. So I'm sure these new advancements will definitely enhance the early warning mechanism at DMC. So also it will help to integrate more with the community at ground level. And going back to what Mr. Kodipili mentioned, and also taking a cue from that, he highlighted the importance of awareness. So I would now like to pose a question to Ms. Kumara Singha. In terms of journalism, how would you view proper training and also capacity building would help journalists to kind of improve their responsibility in reporting accurate information during emergencies or disasters, for that matter?
This is a very important question, and I'm glad you asked it. We heard a lot about how important proper communication and engagement is from both Mr. Kodipili and Mr. Prasad, but what I'd like to say is that not every newsroom is equipped and resourced the same way. The state broadcaster, for example, has years of experience. They've been the people to do it right from day one, so they know what they're doing. And then there are also other outlets. It may be broadcast, it may be print media, it may be digital. They're not as equipped or prepared or experienced in that sense. So it's in human nature to sort of worry about the problem when it comes. Certain problems, I think, when it comes to things like disasters, newsrooms prefer not to think about. This is the reality. Unless you are that one person or a couple of people assigned to do it, you know, maybe as a mandated training or something like that. It's not something that we necessarily, you know, now that I'm managing a newsroom myself, I would look at how I want to allocate my resources, and disaster would actually come in that lower level of priority, because we are challenged in multiple ways right now. You know, we are pressed to deliver information at a rate that was not existent before. So when you consider all of this, I am trying to say that sadly, in most newsrooms you would find that this disaster preparedness, although it should, it doesn't really exist.
Okay.
Right? When it comes to training, it is absolutely important, and I've been advocating for this from as long as I can remember. Journalists also need to realize that, you know, it's their responsibility as well to keep safe and to also deliver the right message. But when you are put into that kind of situation, sometimes your thinking kind of takes a back seat, right? So not all of these come into you know, your direct list of concerns at that particular time. Just coming back to the newsroom point, I think more newsrooms should actively advocate for this preparedness, drills, training, investing in journalists, you know, the mental agility to you know, cover something like this, because you put I'm speaking from experience. You put some person who's not really prepared. You're just told, you know, don't worry, but then you're there and you there's just only 2 ways that it could go. You can either freak out or you can manage it really well, right? So these are the tiny things that often when you come to a management perspective that you miss out on, but it's really important. And I can speak for a number of my peers in the industry that journalist safety, not just when it comes to a natural disaster, other kinds of disasters like the ones we've seen in recent years, journalist safety was not necessarily a priority for the newsrooms itself. So you have to also invest in their safety and keep in mind that this will always be that important distinction between saving lives and adding to the panic and causing more danger, like Mr. Pradeep said. So like I said, it's not at the level I would like to see, having experienced how other journalists, other newsrooms in the region, in the world are prepared for this kind of things. So we have a lot of work to be done. Another thing that I'd like to point out is that, like I said, newsrooms are strapped for resources, right? We don't have time, we don't have the money, we don't have the people. We also have a big skill gap in this industry, right? So we are facing all these challenges, but at the same time, one of the things that I've noticed from back in the day when I started that remains today is that the communications and the trust between agencies, between the media institutions, between the government agencies and the scientific technological departments or institutes, that's lacking. So the experts that I've spoken to back in the day have always pointed out that Sri Lanka needs to stop working in silos. There's so much of scientific research coming in out of our universities, but it rarely makes it to the media, in an understandable language, right? So these are the things that the agencies like the DMC or the NBRO, they try to communicate this, but it doesn't necessarily always work. This is one area that we must urgently fix, and I think the time to start is now.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kumar Singh. I think you shared a lot of views with us, and you brought a very important aspect. I think it's good that you highlighted it, the mental agility of the journalists. So I think that's something which we all need to think about in terms of the capacity building. That's also one key area, and also the safety aspect of journalists, and also the challenges and lack of resources in the newsroom. And finally, another important key area that you highlighted was the research. I mean, I think we all do agree there's a lot of research which needs to be kind of, studied in detail and basically kind of make use of to enhance our disaster management mechanism to kind of improve the role of media as well as the overall disaster management aspects, which will provide the resources as well as help us to build a safer Sri Lanka. So moving back to Mr. Dodangudage, I would like to pose this question because we all kind of now talked about social media and the digital platforms that are currently available. So Mr. Dodangudage, what role do you see for digital platforms and social media in future, especially with regard to disaster communication strategies, and how can the government kind of ensure that such tools are used in the proper manner and also in an effective way? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, Tushi. Now the platforms you mentioned will be the prime source in the future for communication, and especially for disaster awareness as well, because now people are moving from the traditional media to digital media. That's one aspect we see. In every country, traditional media, they are struggling to find ways and means to survive and to be more with people oriented, while they are they are matching with the ongoing digital transformation. So in Sri Lanka also the situation same as the state media. We also have same challenges, because moving towards a digital platform, we are now in now I am talking about Rupavahini Corporation. We are in almost all digital platforms, but we migrated there a little bit later than the private media, because as I mentioned, we are governmental. We have to go through some procedures and we need some approvals like that. So, and again, when acquiring new technology, we have challenges than the private sector, because every time private sector, they can mobilize their resources and they can do purchases, they can get new technology. But for us, we have to follow set of government rules and regulations, because we are government institutions. So, those type of challenges are there. But anyway, both state media and private media, they have to play a pivotal role in the digital platforms. When we think about future disaster awareness and communication during disaster, because people naturally now, even now, when we put some video clip, news clip in YouTube, our viewership is very good. It's far more better than the traditional screen watches. So this is the trend. This is the trend, because now people are living with the small screen, the mobile screen. So in the future, we have to move towards that, but at the same time, we have to maintain the trustworthiness, accuracy, and we have to disseminate correct information. We have to be very careful about misinformation and malinformation and other harmful effects. So in that scenario, now we have to build various new platforms. Now the summit you mentioned, ABU 9th ABU Media Summit, one of the prime tasks of that summit is to unveil DPRP model for media, equipping broadcasters to prepare for respond to an ethical report on disasters. They are going to initiate a platform that covers all Sri Lankan media. I think this initiative is done by in collaboration with Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union and UNESCO.
Okay.
That's what I learned. We have to get more details about that. They want to launch a platform that all Sri Lankan media can work on. So that's a very novel idea and a very efficient way to work on, because we can in that case we can we can bridge number of gaps. Number of gaps can be bridge, and we can do a better communication during disaster, as there are challenges, as Pradeep mentioned. One thing that we have to think about the people. We have to think about their well-being. We must not panic them during a disaster. During early warning, we must keep them calm and let them to move into safer places, rather than running here and there, making all kind of human disaster. And at the same time, we have to think about another very important aspect that Kalani mentioned, that gap between the academia and the media. So we also learn a lot about this, and we tried several models to bridge this. We are still in a very early stage of that. Very recently, we initiated some news segments to reach universities and get their new innovations. And we make very kind of interesting news items. One such news item, it's not anything related to disaster or climate, but it's related to climate. Now, in the one story we did, PhD student in Sri Jayawardhanapur University, she produced a kind of fertilizer and insect-proof polythene using jellyfish. because jellyfish is a menace when they emerge during I think in the middle of the year. Our beaches get poisoned. It's a big threat. But she initiated kind of a solution for that problem.
Okay.
So we make a news item, and we got, I think, more than 300,000 views and lot of reactions, and we connected that girl to various some people wanted to get more information about that. Then other media also connected with us to get more information. So in the first experiment, we thought it's a good start. So likewise, we have to do more, especially on disaster response, as well as the awareness and the community-based activities in our duty of keeping awareness among our people.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Dodangotage. In fact, you highlighted the importance of the digital platforms in disseminating accurate information at all times, especially in terms of the disaster management aspects. And also another interesting news that you highlighted was the unveiling of the DPRD model at the ABU summit. I'm sure we can all look forward for that. And lastly, you also brought to our basically kind of contributed to this discussion in terms of highlighting the collaboration between the state media institution, that's Rupavahini Corporation, as well as the university students, and helping them to kind of come up with their research and also enhance their skills in terms of the academia. So thank you very much again for all of you all, our eminent panelists, for sharing your thoughts with us today. And today's discussion actually highlighted the effective role of disaster communication, which actually requires 3 essential elements. That is mainly, we all agree, it should be timely, accurate, and also trustworthy. So the media is actually not just a messenger, but it is also a bridge between the communities, the government, and also the international partners. So as we conclude, there is a clear takeaway, is that the collaboration across journalists, state institutions, as well as our technical government agencies, and going beyond that, the regional partners also, is a key to building a safer and a more resilient Sri Lanka. So on behalf of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, I extend our sincere gratitude to our 3 eminent panelists, Mr. Kodipili and Ms. Kumar Singha, as well as Mr. Dodangotage, for joining today's discussion. So stay safe, stay prepared, and let us all work together for a safer Sri Lanka. Thank you.